You are listening to Fox Radio 910 and 104.3. I want to welcome you to Let's Talk About, our weekly radio program sponsored by Crowning Touch Senior Moving Services of Roanoke, Virginia. My name is Linda Balentine, the president of Crowning Touch and your host for this series. I interview local characters, service providers, politicians, teachers, entrepreneurs, and business professionals, and each one is dedicated to improving life in our valley. Every person has an interesting perspective to share from all walks of life. So, let's begin today's interview. Today on our program, we're joined by Mary Scott Tuck, a devoted daughter who walked alongside her mother through more than a decade of moves, changes, and the challenges of dementia until her mother's passing at the remarkable age of 95. Mary Scott's journey is one of love, patience, and resilience, a story that sheds light on what it means to shift from being the one cared for to becoming the caregiver. She'll share the joys, the heartaches, and the practical lessons that can help anyone facing this tender chapter of life. Welcome, Mary Scott.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you know, most of us could find ourselves in a similar situation that you were in and that I've been in, especially if you're an only child or the one that lives closest to mom. Which category do you fall into?
I am one of several categories. I am the one that was closest, and I am the surviving child.
Wow, okay.
So my sister unfortunately passed 2 years before my mother of breast cancer.
Oh, my.
So I was it.
So that was the burden. Why don't you walk us through, you know, we talk about caregiving here, and when I'm talking about caregiving, I'm talking about it in the larger sense of the word, because first of all, we all care for our parents.
Yes.
And at the last decade or two of their life, we end up giving back more than we spent our life doing. So I call it caregiving, not in the sense that she necessarily lived with you, but why don't, you had a very interesting, last decade with your mom.
Yes.
And I thought we could all learn a lot. And you could encourage people because there are people, in the thick of it right now.
There are probably a lot of people that where I was 5 years ago, without a clue what was happening, realized that there was a problem, didn't realize if the problem was just age related. She was 90 at the time.
Right.
Things begin to change as you get older. Or was there a real problem?
Now, how far away were you? When she was 90, where was she living?
She was living at the Glebe in Daleville.
Okay.
And we live out at the lake.
But you moved her to the Glebe. Can we go back just a little bit farther? Let's start when she left her independent living in her own house.
She and my father left Alexandria in 2013.
Okay.
Moved from a very large, nice home in Old Town Alexandria. Mm-hmm. Anyone that's ever been to Old Town knows those are vertical houses.
That's right. Steps and more steps.
5,000 square feet on 4 floors, straight up and down. Not a really good place to be if you're beginning to have balance issues, walking issues. In my dad's case, a few cognitive issues, but not major ones.
Right. Were they driving? I mean, the traffic is very congested. Did you worry about that at all for them too?
With Dad's driving, I basically worried about his driving from the time I could remember him driving. His guardian angel worked way overtime. So, yes, Dad's driving did bother me. Fortunately, where they were in Old Town, the grocery store was 2 blocks away. Yeah. It was an easy walk. They wanted, any restaurant you could possibly imagine, it was 7 blocks away.
Yeah, isn't that
an
neat?
Easy walk.
Isn't that neat?
The company, however, was about a 10-mile drive from Mom. So up until then, it was
this is a company that they owned, correct?
My mother's family owned it.
Okay.
Now, my grandfather started the company in 1936.
Right.
Ran it until he passed in 1950. And my grandmother took over running the company in 1950. So a woman in a totally male-dominated industry.
It was the moving industry.
It was a moving and storage company.
Right.
And then my mom took over as CEO in 1976.
So she was a strong character.
She was a character. She was a character.
You have to have a lot, of get up and go about you to get involved in that business.
She ran the business very tightly.
Yeah.
As you know, owning a moving and storage business, most people that end up in the C-suite area come either out of sales or operations. Mm-hmm. Mom came out of accounting.
Wow.
So she ran the company.
That was good, though. That was a good seat she had before.
She ran the company to the penny.
I bet.
I mean, she knew from a minute a box hit the warehouse floor what it was going to cost to store it, pack it, load it, ship it, tape it, everything else, and tracked it very closely. Did the same thing with labor. Mom was very dollar driven. which was unusual for the industry.
Gotcha.
So that's how the company ran.
And I met your mom because we were fortunate enough to help her move a couple of times, which is how I came to know you. But she was a fantastic gal. I have to say,
she was a card.
She was. She was a lot of fun. There was no messing around with her.
No,
you had to, and she knew how she wanted stuff, and
expected you to deliver.
and you better do it. God bless her. I can honor that way of looking at things.
That's how she was, even with the family. We had, I won't say jobs as children, but we had responsibilities.
Yeah, good. Has that gone out of fashion somehow? I mean, I had a mother like that.
We don't have kids, so I don't think I can speak comfortably to that. But we had jobs. You had to make your bed in the morning.
Yeah.
Through school, our job was grades.
Right.
And as long as you were doing the best you could possibly do,
right,
everything was great.
Right.
If you didn't, there were consequences. And believe me, there were consequences.
So you had a strong relationship with your mom. You were used to taking direction from her. Mm-hmm. Was there a rub when, and let's talk about it. She's getting ready to move from Alexandria. Mm-hmm. Did she move out here to be close to you? Was that the deal?
That was part of the consideration.
Did she go straight into the Glebe?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Went right from Alexandria to the Glebe.
Okay.
They had looked at other facilities. They were really looking towards Williamsburg,
yes,
just because they love that area.
Mm-hmm.
And who doesn't? It's gorgeous.
But you were here.
But my husband and I had moved here 4 years prior because this is the area where my husband grew up.
Right.
And I couldn't take the commute into D.C. anymore.
I guess not.
So I became an at-home worker.
Well, you landed in a fine spot, I might
sure
say.
Did. I love it. I look out, I see trees, I see deer.
I know.
I
do too.
see Duke Street.
I saw coons today on my deck, 2 of them.
So it's a whole different lifestyle. But as they began looking, I was aware of the Glebe and was kind of like, well, why don't you guys at least look at the Glebe? There was another facility in Christiansburg.
So this is a senior life care community.
It's a whole life community, which was important and really played out very well for them.
Yeah.
Takes you from independent living. You do everything on your own. You are expected to have 1 meal in the dining room a day. Mm-hmm. But other than that, your life is your own to lead.
Yeah. And it is a classy place. It was new when your mama moved in. Relatively new. Just a few years.
Yeah. My parents were academics.
Yeah.
Very much academics. Super smart.
Yeah.
Ridiculous IQs.
Yeah.
But the Glebe was, I guess, tuned in.
Yes.
To all the universities in the area was a major attraction for them.
Yes. And a lot of the residents come from the same type of background. The professionals, or they were just vested in a lot of community activity. They're very aware folks.
Yes, they are, and they continue to be.
All right, so they made that choice. When did you start pitching in? What triggered you to think that you had to put in more than your 2 cents with your mom?
About the time I was born.
Yeah, but when did she start listening to you? Maybe we should put it that way. Or did she always respect your judgment?
I was her CFO in the company. So for a long time, we had a not just a mother-daughter relationship, but a boss-employee relationship.
Right.
So where I started to step in was in her comfort zone with me, which was her finances.
Right.
She would all of a sudden go, I can't deal with this. Can you balance checkbooks?
Well, isn't that neat? That was a great entree.
That was just a step back for me. And I have a feeling that's probably how a lot of people step into their parents' lives for the first time.
Mm-hmm. It was for me too. I was balancing my mother's checkbook and checking her, mail, paying her bills. That was my first step into the water with her. That
was my toe in as well. Mm-hmm. My dad, when it came to finances, as smart as he was, finances were, I won't say Greek because the man spoke Greek, but were just completely foreign to him.
Well, because he was married to a gal
who did it.
Obviously had that together.
Had a finance background and knew how to do it. Knew he had a daughter that could step in and do it. So that was where it kind of started. Whenever mom would get confused about the bank accounts, okay, let me just step in and, we'll run through this. And that's quite easy. And it gradually progressed.
Okay.
As we learned more and more about dementia, and this was a major learning curve for us.
I know. What alerted you first? You're already helping her with her figures because part of that is just overload. You just get tired as you're a senior and you're willing to delegate and give away some.
Mom was more than happy. At that point, Dad was in healthcare having had a stroke, and she was just willing to give up really anything. And the finances, again, were kind of a natural. What we began to see in late 2019 and early 2020.
Mm-hmm.
She was having problems with V words.
Really?
So virus, which, as you know from the time frame, that was immediately
Oh, that's right.
pre-pandemic. She couldn't remember the word virus. And you literally couldn't turn on the TV, listen to the radio, have a conversation without the word virus popping up
Isn't that something?
multiple times. But then vulnerable, which, okay, is not a normal word.
And it was
but
just V words.
it was V words.
Isn't that
she began to
interesting?
struggle with. And it was like, okay, well, maybe this is a little different. Maybe this, she was 90 at the time.
Right, sure.
Maybe this is just part of the aging process, but we were aware that she was having those issues. After my dad passed in early 2020, things became worse. The glebe immediately, as you would expect, went into lockdown.
Oh, that's
So
right, sure.
here she is, a grieving widow after 63 years of
no.
marriage, completely isolated.
Oh, no.
We couldn't get to her. She was trying to Zoom with us. It didn't always work well.
I guess not.
Frequently we talked to her forehead.
Oh, gosh, I know, but that is just heartbreaking. Oh,
But it was
heartbreaking.
tough. And then literally the week the glebe came out of lockdown, we moved Mom from the cottage into the apartment. So you're coming off of all of this. You've got someone that is profoundly grieving, according to her psychiatrist.
Right.
Now she's in a new environment.
By herself again.
By herself again. And she very seriously self-isolated at that point. And that was another big warning flag that something is going on.
Does that mean she wasn't interested in talking to you, or it was just she didn't want to mingle with the rest of the community?
She didn't want to go down to dinner. She would go occasionally if she were invited, but she wouldn't do the inviting.
I understand.
She wouldn't go down by herself.
I got you.
Did
they bring her meals?
Yes.
The glebe
Now-
is so accommodating about whatever condition anybody is ever
Now,
in.
at that point, the glebe was still encouraging people not to go to the dining rooms, to
that's
eat
right.
in their
Oh
apartments.
my gosh.
It took about, and I don't have the exact time frame, but it was about 8 months before they genuinely said, come back to the dining rooms. We realized that
Oh,
this
my
is a
gosh.
big part of what this community is.
Right.
But she, at that point, had almost completely
Yeah,
self-isolated.
because she'd set up a pattern for herself by then.
She had. Now, one thing we did fairly early in that was we stepped in with companion care for her, arranged by the glebe, great people there. It started with them just coming in and setting up her pill box once a week. But again, it was contact. They were seeing what I was seeing, so we were able to have conversations. Is this progressing?
So you had an ally,
Yeah, most definitely.
with the glebe, which is an important connection. You got to see behind the scenes when
Yes.
you weren't there.
And believe me, with all the phone calls I had, I knew everything that was going on
I got
without
you.
question.
So they would call you.
if they saw
frequently-
something out of place.
I got you.
And that in those early days, it was like, okay, the pills, I get it. Pills for anybody can be confusing. But things were beginning to progress. So we went from once a week with the pills to 3 times a week. Somebody was in there making sure her refrigerator was stocked. If it wasn't, hey, Mary, get a grocery
And she
delivery
had the
going.
standard maid service, correct? She
Standard-
had all of that
Oh, yeah.
at the same
All of
time.
that was in place. What they really did at that point was make sure while she was bathing that there was somebody in the apartment. Didn't assist her bathing, but just making sure somebody was there so that she was bathing and she was safe.
What a nice cautionary move
Yes.
to make
Yes.
on their behalf. And that's the other thing that I want to emphasize, because I work with a lot of retirement communities. Most of them try to provide that kind of care.
And it is invaluable.
So people who can't take care of their parent can hopefully feel encouraged and maybe a little bit relaxed.
There's an avenue.
You're getting a team to help you
Yes.
at the other end. It's
Yes.
like sitting across the table from somebody that says, okay, when you aren't here, we're going to wrap our arms around her
Right.
and do this.
Or next time you're here, pay attention to whatever you need to pay attention to.
It's
and that-
really, really important.
That was huge for us. Had they been in Williamsburg, it would have been a very different story. Fortunately, they're 45 minutes away
Right.
on a bad day.
Right.
So if I needed to do things, I could step in quickly and do them. Fortunately, also, again, I have a cousin that lived 5 minutes from the glebe.
Yeah, well, that was a good thing too, wasn't it?
Can you fly up there real quickly and make sure this is? And I only did that once or twice.
Well,
but
I think America would do well to stretch their hearts and realize that part of what family means. It doesn't end when you walk out of the house, you go to college, you get married.
gosh, no.
It doesn't end there.
No.
And and you're not supposed to wait until somebody's dead just so that you can sit across from some attorney and figure out what the will holds for you.
No.
There is a real role to play in the lives of our senior
Oh, definitely.
family members And they may or may not be your dad. They may be an aunt, an uncle, somebody sitting there lonely waiting to have a visit.
And the glebe encourages that. They work, I believe they still work with several of the schools. So they'll bring in school-age kids. And I'm talking middle school age, I believe, late elementary school. Let seniors talk about life experiences that some of these kids have never had.
That's correct.
I mean, and there's a great list of questions out there that, most high school seniors today have never used a rotary phone.
Yeah, isn't that
or
something?
Know what a rotary phone is.
Well, a lot of them don't even understand, what happened during World War II.
Yeah.
Some of them don't even know who we were fighting. So it's a good thing.
But this is a great way of bridging gaps.
I love that.
And the glebe does it brilliantly. And that's also where they are so tuned into the universities to say, okay, this is, especially like Virginia Tech with all the technology that they're bringing forward. This is what's going on. This is real world. This may sound, way outer space, that this is never going to happen. But this is reality.
Well, listen.
And it's exciting.
It sounds like you had a lot of help. But at what point did it start to get very difficult for you? Did it get emotionally challenging? Doesn't it start to rip your heart out, Well, I know if you feel like you're doing the most you can, you don't look back and you don't have a lot of guilt, which is why I encourage people to step up.
You will still have guilt, even if you have done everything you think you can do and everything you think you can do and have done it correctly with the best advice possible. You're still going to have guilt over some decisions, and you're still going to question decisions.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But having her in some place like the glebe, where she had immediate assistance with medical, immediate assistance with just general caregiving and socialization, helped me to know that, okay, if I'm not over there 3 or 4 times a week, because I'm sorry, I'm married, I have a life, I have a job.
Yeah, you have a job.
It just gave me some peace of mind.
What was some of the hardest things when you look back? What were some of the hardest? The hardest
were, believe it or not, some of what you would think would be the simplest decisions. Moving her from the apartment to healthcare, from the apartment to memory care. Trying to honor mom's wishes not to go to assisted living, which is what memory care is actually a part of assisted living.
Okay.
I wish to this day that we had made that decision about 6 months before we did.
Really?
Because once she moved into memory care, there were specialists there.
Oh, I see.
That knew how to deal with people that were having cognitive issues, knew how to bring them forward, knew how to work with the families to say little things like, when she's talking, you don't bring her to your world. You go into her world.
I gotcha.
So very confusing every now and then. She would be talking about, daddy did this and daddy did that. And it might take 2 or 3 minutes for me to realize she wasn't talking about my father.
Oh.
She was talking about her father.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And okay, this is how she's relating to her daddy.
And so then you just pick up the conversation where she is.
And go with it.
Yeah.
And knowing the family history,
yeah.
Lots of family gatherings. I kind of knew most of the players she was talking about. Every now and then she'd throw a name at me and I'm just, okay, we'll just wing this because I have no clue who she's talking about.
Did you learn any new tidbits about your history from her reflecting to that kind of depth where she looked back?
Not a lot.
Okay. It was mostly stuff that you were familiar with.
It was mostly stuff and mostly centered around the company.
Isn't that
That's what she's tended to relate to.
Isn't that neat?
So it was because I had come through the company. I knew the company history. I knew how my grandfather had related to everybody in the company. And we were able to relate on that level. And every now and then, my husband, who would go with me frequently to visit her, he's just looking at me like, how in the world did you know that?
Let me ask you this.
Just do it.
Did she ever really push back in any kind of intense way? I mean, did you?
Oh, gosh, yes.
So you had times when you didn't want to be arguing, but you found yourself arguing or you found yourself insisting?
You found yourself, I call it bulldozing.
Oh.
Gotcha. It's kind of like, no, this is what we're going to do and we're going to do it.
So anybody that's going to make these decisions to help take care of somebody realize that they're going to come to that
you will come
part
to
of the road.
Those kinds of
speed bumps kind of deal.
You're going to have to just plow through.
Wow.
They're not easy. Sometimes they're not easy decisions. Sometimes it's like, I'm sorry, you're eating dinner tonight.
Right. Does the glebe or other facilities provide sort of like counseling? Can you meet with somebody that has already, because they're obviously assessing her
constantly.
Okay.
Once she moved to memory care, there were quarterly meetings with her whole staff.
Wow.
And that carried through even with my dad in healthcare.
Were you in those meetings?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And it was
That's fantastic.
all the team members there, from dietary to medical to memory to social, the nursing staff, everyone was represented. And that really shed a huge amount of light on what was going on, and to give me a lot of relief that she was being well taken care of.
Yeah.
Now, there were sometimes it was like, nope, hold on, we got to put a break on this and let's just move forward. Let's maybe take
Wait
a
minute,
left turn.
put a break. I lost you. Are you talking to the team now?
To the team.
Okay.
Sorry.
So they're
Sorry.
making a suggestion, and
I'm
you
saying,
have
no,
the right to say no.
This is not going to be best for her.
And they listen to you.
Yes.
Wow, because you know her history. It's your mama.
Right. Now, sometimes I would be proven wrong. They're the memory care specialists, and that's what you work with.
Right.
But every now and then, I know the character we're dealing with.
Yes, that's right.
And it's like, no, you can't approach her that way. It will never work if you do that.
Now, you had a great team there. Every once in a while, I happen to know of families that feel like they've got to bring somebody else in, some home health aide, something else. She didn't need any of that once she was in memory care, correct?
Correct. Now, we did have companion care supplied by the glebe, but they also provided other avenues if we had wanted to go a different route.
Right.
We chose the glebe because it kept it within that team.
Gotcha.
And with all the HIPAA regulations and all the other hoo-ha that you have to deal with.
That makes it so hard to share a history about
Keeping it within the glebe keeps it so much easier.
Okay.
And it really did.
So now, at what point did you engage with Good Samaritan Hospice?
In September of 24, Mom tripped over her walker and broke her hip.
Oh, dear.
It happens.
Sure.
She was 94 at the time.
Of course, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
But things went downhill very quickly from there. Once she'd had the surgery, was back at the glebe, went into healthcare briefly before going back to memory care. Once she got back to memory care, she wasn't able, and I don't know if I should say this, she wasn't able to bathroom herself.
Yes, right.
She wasn't able to dress herself. She wasn't able to do the basics that are required to be in assisted living.
Oh, yeah, because assisted just means assisted.
Right, just assisted.
Right.
So when they were having to lift her into and out of wheelchairs, assisted living, if they've got to push the wheelchair to the meal.
So you need more. You need more
She
help.
needed skilled care.
So what did you do?
So we made the move back to healthcare.
Okay,
which is
I understand
24/7 skilled nursing care.
Correct.
And it was a fairly rapid downhill from there, beginning in November through February when she passed.
Well, I'm not 95. My mother died at 95. And I could look at the way she said to me once, because she had moments of lucidity.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember her saying, we were sitting in a little chapel together. She looked at me and said, she just came out from the fog and said, "This is not living, Linda. This is not living." And, from that point on, her discouragement, she got to where she didn't even want to drink out of a straw. You could just see her give up, because you get to the place, and you and I will we're going to arrive there somehow.
Someday we will be there as well.
But watching somebody go through that and not being so separated from it teaches you something, which I think is part of God's role for us on this life.
It teaches you humility.
That's correct. It does.
Brilliantly does it.
And gratefulness. It does two things. If you're sitting there and you're wanting to go, but you don't go, God doesn't take you.
Yep.
Part of what you can count on happening is that people who are watching are learning and observing you right up until the moment that you leave. And if you have dementia, everybody sort of cuts you loose and nobody is holding you responsible for what you say or anything. But it is a moment to share right up into your very last breath.
It really was. And we were fortunate that we were able to be with Mom. Now, we were going Stephen went with me just about every time, but we were going 3 to 4 days a week, spending, maybe half an hour with her. Not a whole lot more than that.
Because she would wear out, doesn't she?
She would wear out. She would get, I guess a good word for this is whippish.
What is that?
She would kind of get real snappy.
Oh, okay.
And she just whip temper at you.
Oh, I gotcha.
So very quick temper. Why are you here? Who are you? I don't want you here. Where's Paige?
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
The inevitable question was, where's Paige?
That's got to tear your heart out at a certain point. But you have to steel yourself against that. So you push that aside and keep on loving them.
And Steve learned very quickly after we'd had a bad visit with Mom that I either needed to shut down, which was just let me put my headphones on, let me do cross stitch, and I don't want to deal with anything or anybody, or find the most ridiculous TV show, thank you, Hazel, and just let me laugh. And it was one of the two. And he said the laughter was easier to deal with. So
yes,
crazy shows like Hazel, it's innocent laughter.
That's correct.
There's nothing wrong about it. There's nothing strong. There's nothing.
It's freeing. It's liberating.
Yeah. And you get to laugh, and then all that tension goes away.
If you could go back, is there anything that you would do differently?
There are two major decisions that I might do. Well, one I know I'd do differently. The first was the move from the apartment to memory care. That should have been done 6 months before it was done. I don't doubt that.
Is that because you didn't know the level of care that was going to be provided?
I was trying to honor mom's wishes not to go to assisted living.
I understand.
That was a hard decision. The other one was in 2022. She needed a pacemaker.
Oh, wow.
And with a DNR in place, that's a do not resuscitate in place.
Right.
Was I violating her DNR by scheduling that surgery?
Oh, there's a thought.
And it took a lot of just soul searching to say, okay, yes, we're going to do the pacemaker. You know, it may have been a very selfish decision because in 22, I lost my sister in March, my mother-in-law in April.
Wow.
And this was June.
And you'd lost your dad.
And I'd lost dad 2 years before. And maybe it was a selfish decision. Maybe it wasn't. But I have a fantastic sister-in-law who happened to have been in the hospital for something of her own that day and came up to visit. And she's like, I can see you're stressed trying to make this decision. And the one thing she said was trust in God.
There you go.
Very simple.
Well, I love that. That is a great way to end this. It happens so fast. Our little session goes so fast. I just want to give you a real heartfelt thanks, Mary
I'm glad
Scott,
to do this.
for sharing your deeply personal journey and the wisdom gained along the way. Mm-hmm. Your story is a reminder that caring for an aging parent is not just about meeting needs. It's about honoring a lifetime of love.
Yes.
That's why you had those conscience pricks.
And still do have them.
That's correct. Well, I'm praying that your words will encourage and guide whoever might be listening as they navigate their own path of care and connection.
Just know every journey is going to be unique. So what happened to us may not happen to you.
I got you.
And trust.
I got you. God bless you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, dear. Bye-bye. You've been listening to Let's Talk About, courtesy of Crowning Touch Senior Moving Services of Roanoke, Virginia, the only moving company with a consignment shop, auction house, and real estate division. We are a one-stop shop for any senior making a move. Check out our website at crowningtouchusa.com. Or if you are planning a move, call Anna at 540-982-5800 to arrange a free estimate. And don't forget to check out our monthly browse and bid auctions at 6712 Williamson Road in Roanoke, where you can bid online on over 1,800 items each month. Meanwhile, let's get back together next Friday at noon for more of Let's Talk About on Fox 910 and 104.3.